Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to build a forged bottom end 6-liter LS swap a Box Chevy with an Aces EFI jackpot for LS system. Also swap over the stock ECM and harness that's on Austin's 69 C10. We're going to swap that over to an Aces. I had a set of stainless long tube headers, full exhaust on that thing. Swap the fuel pump out for a Walbro 525. And we also have a motor to assemble and get in the car and back running. We have to try to do all this before our next event. So we're about to dive into this episode and get after it. We got 2 motors to build and 3 vehicles to do a massive amount of work to. So let's dive in and see if we can get it done before the show. We picked up a full forged bottom end kit from BTR. It is stock spec for a 6-liter, but we've got the forged connecting rods, forged pistons, and a forged crankshaft. We're running a BTR red hot cam in this thing. We've got a set of 660 springs to go inside of a set of 243 heads. We've got all brand new gaskets, rings, bearings, the full works. We are going to head stud this thing. Red has a beautiful, beautiful BTR equalizer intake that he got for this thing. A set of 727 valve covers to match his car, and a few other small pieces of really nice eye candy to go under the hood. We got a set of BTR shaft rockers to go in this thing. He's got a whole front accessory assembly from LS Simple. Now everything in this engine is BTR other than some of the bolts and the block and the head casting. So this will be a fun build. We're excited to do this one and get his beautiful badass Box Chevy swapped. Alright, so we're back in here. We got Austin's truck on the rack. I'm about to drop the fuel tank, get all the exhaust out of it, get the headers off. Let's start getting this engine and transmission harness out of here. I come in this morning, I got Red's rings on his pistons and all his bearings in. Em is over here working on getting the 6.0 for FishStik tore down. She's got 2 pistons and rods left and the crank's got to come out. We got Rainey in here helping us today. It's my little brother. He in here just cleaning up some parts for FishStik, getting all that bronze material out of there. And then Red is dropping off his pink Box Chevy, so we can start the swap on that thing. We got, like I said, I got his rings put on his pistons. His rods are ready to go in the motor. From there, it's camshaft top end. We got to change his springs still in the heads. I'm going to try to get that done today. We're going to try to have FishStik tore all the way down, all the parts clean, ready to go back together. Try to reassemble it tomorrow and stab Red's motor and transmission tomorrow. We're going to put in a late night tonight and try to get most of Austin's Aces wired up, get his new headers put on. Eddie's got to come out and help with the builder kit and do all the welding because I'm not a welder. And from there, we got to get these 3 hot rods ready to go in the next 7 days. We don't have a far trip this time. We got to build 2 motors, do a full LS swap, install an engine, and swap a powertrain management system, a full exhaust, and build a full fuel system for this thing. So it's like half a swap here, a full swap, and then a build and an install. God willing, all the parts show up. We shouldn't have any issues, but we all know how that can go. But we're going to keep rocking and rolling, and we're going to work through the weekend, put in some hours, and see what we can make happen. Emma got this thing all the way down to a bare block. You can see that nasty oil in there. Her and Rennie gonna work on getting this stuff cleaned up, and be ready to put this thing back together this weekend. Alright, so we got his harness pulled up, pulled off the engine all the way around. Sammy's got to get the modules out of this side over here where they're all mounted to the fender. ECM and the TAC module and this fuse block. We're going to work on getting all this out of here, identify a few wires that we need, key sources and such. They're going inside the cab, try to label those, and then we'll get this thing cut out of here and start getting the Aces laid in place. Getting close over here. Bed off that thing. Changing the fuel pump. About to rebuild this fuel system right now. Get his Aces wired up. Alright guys, we're getting this engine bay cleaned up. Some of the wiring gone through and hid. We're working on getting these headers laid out. Have to get these things put on there. Of course, you already seen that. We got the bed off this thing. But we got his 525 put in. We got an 8A in line ran all the way up to his filter right there on the rail. Continue that all the way up to the fuel rail. Then we're going to come off the fuel rail, go over to a regulator on the firewall, come out of that regulator, come all the way back to an E85 sensor. We're going to mount this up back here somewhere. And then it's going to come off this E85 sensor and go to our return inside of that void fuel cell. Now we're about to get these rods and pistons knocked in Red's motor, get the bump stick slid in it. We stayed last night and got the crank in it, but we got to get the cam in it, change the springs and the heads so Emma can get the heads on it. That way we can stab this thing tomorrow. It's going to be a late night. Let's get to it. Alright guys, we got Red's rotating assembly put in. Forged rods and pistons. Stock spec forged crank. About to slide in this BTR red hot cam retainer plate. Then Emma's going to get the timing set on. But I got to change some valve springs and some cylinder heads so she can get the studs and the heads on. And then there's just a few little things and this thing will be ready to go in the car tomorrow. Let's go get an update on Austin's truck to see how far Red's got on it. Got them headers on there. Started getting some of the harness ran and hooked up. And take care of all that. Alright, so lifters are in it, head studs are in it, head gaskets are on it. We're about to stick these cylinder heads on it now and then call it a night. We're going to come back in tomorrow and Emma's going to finish getting this thing buttoned up. We're going to get it set in the car. We're going to try to wire up Austin's truck. Eddie's coming out in the morning to start on Austin's exhaust. Red got his headers on tonight. I've still got to wire up the Aces in Austin's truck. But we're going to work on getting that wired up tomorrow, get Red's motor stabbed, and try to get Red's car wired for the most part. And then we'll just be down to the fuel system and a few of the smaller things to do for that swap. Red took his front accessories home tonight to try to get his power steering pump and alternator and everything assembled on there to speed up the process a little bit. He did stay late tonight and get his throttle body and fuel rails and injectors mounted on his intake, so that'll help speed up the process some too. Man, it's all about pulling together as a group and trying to get these vehicles ready for the show. Everybody wants these vehicles there on top of the swaps that we've already got going with us. So at this car show, we're going to have a small VIP section set up over behind the registration tent, and we're going to have a whole lineup of vehicles that are from our camp or we've swapped or we worked on. Just some builds that we're proud of, man. It's an opportunity for us to showcase our work to our community and show everybody exactly what we do when we're putting in these late nights like this. We're about to get these things on here and get them buttoned up. We'll see what it looks like after that. We might set his intake on and give you guys a little teaser of what's about to happen. And we're going to go home and get some rest and hit it hard again tomorrow and try to get as much done as we can. Emma, Red, and myself stayed till about midnight last night. We got Red's engine built. He just got here this morning. He's buttoning up his few little things on the intake, tightening down some sensors and stuff. But we're going to get his motor set in the car today and start getting it wired up. We got to get Austin's truck wired up, try to get his exhaust buttoned up, finish up his fuel system, and change his harmonic balancer. We're going to put an ATI super dampener on it. We got 7 days from today. The actual show is today, so technically I guess we got 6 days from today. Alright, so Eddie got the V-bands welded up on the headers. Both sides. Got our X-pipe mocked up over here on the screw jack. Test fit this bad boy, we'll weld it up.
Straight cut.
Hell yeah. Not too bad for a Sawzall. Alright, so we got Red's motor in here on the cherry picker. We got it ready to stab. Got his transmission jacked up. His converter's pre-filled. I'm about to climb in there and get that ratchet strap out of there. And get his converter stuck in there. Did make some progress on Austin's truck. Got the fuel system ran. Got a content sensor in there. In the return side. We got 8A in feed going all the way to the front through a filter straight to the rail. And it comes off the fuel rail. Goes through the fuel regulator. Comes back to this content sensor and then back into the tank. This is filter. Mounted his regulator up down here on the firewall. Still got to finish getting the Aces installed in this. I'm going to go ahead and stab the 6.0 and Red's car that way. Then start working on trying to test fit the headers, get the intake set on, start running some of the Aces stuff, and get this thing ready to LS swap. Guys, this swap and build right here has been a long time coming. We picked this 6.0 up from Red and started this build. It's kind of snowballed, hence the intake, the valve covers and all that. It's got a Tim Smith trans in it. Car was previously swapped with a stock ECM and harness. Then he decided to go with a Holly, and then we stumbled up on the Aces stuff, so we're running the Aces on it. This thing's gonna be sweet though. Alright, so we got that thing set in there. Bolted up. Got some cheap Chinese headers here. Had to make some clearance a couple areas, but we're about to test fit these things, see if they fit, see what we can do to move forward. Once the headers are on, we can start getting the intake and some of the Aces ran. We stayed late tonight. We got the intake, valve covers, all that. There's front accessories on there. Test fitted the belt. Everything's looking good so far. Y'all know we ain't gonna leave this wiring like that. We're gonna bring it over, run it through the inner fender, drop it right here, and mount the Aces up over here in the corner in the darkness. But we're tired. We're about to call it a night. We worked our tails off today. Y'all check that out. Things looking good. That ATI super dampener on there. I'm not gonna lie, that thing was a pain in the ass. But we got it. I'll tell y'all right now, if it's one thing that's gonna piss our haters off, it's this car right here. And I'm gonna talk shit. You know why? Because look at that. Alright guys, so it's Sunday. We stayed super late last night. We got Red's motor in. We got his front accessories on. We got a bunch of stuff done to that pink Box Chevy over there. We pushed it back outside. We're gonna get it pushed in today. We're gonna work on getting some more wiring and stuff done on that when he gets here. But until he gets here, I'm gonna jump back on Austin's truck. I've still got quite a bit to do on this thing. I've still got to wire the whole engine side, the drivetrain of the truck. We've got to drill a hole in the firewall, get the ECM and harness ran through the firewall inside, find somewhere to mount it up. We got a little bit of wiring to do inside. Excuse me. I got a little bit of wiring to do inside, and then I've got to run the main part of the harness out here in the engine bay. And then we've got a BP fan relay kit. So what we did was they sell just a fan harness, but it's a single fuse block, and then they sell a dual fuse block that's a DIY swap harness. And the fuses are labeled, you know, you've got your fuel pump, relay, and fuse, and then you've got you've got some keyed sources for your engine sensors and your injectors and coils and such. So what we're going to do is we're going to wire that up, but we're going to use that to control his fans, his coolant pump, and any other auxiliary things he might want to add later on. We did get his fuel system done yesterday. We've got 8A in running all the way from the back to the front. We've got the regulator mounted. I mean, guys, we've been thrashing hard. So we're about to get back to it. Emma's gonna go in and set the crank in the 6.0 for FishStik, and then I'll help her. We'll get the rods and pistons knocked in that one, and just get it all reassembled and put back together. and early this week we're going to try to get that one done, get FishStik back running. We are waiting on a BTR Trinity intake and a set of valve covers, and I have to send the valve covers down and have our logo put on them. So we are going to be on a time crunch this week, but we've got this show coming Saturday, and we're relentless to get all 3 of these done and try to have them there and have a whole line of cars from 727 that we built this year to finish off our last show of the year with a bang. I'm trying to get Red's car done up. Most of the assembly done. We just got to get this thing wired up. A few little parts left to get. We got Austin's catch can on there. Most of his engine harness ran. A few little things left to do on the engine harness. Got his ECM mounted up in his glove box. That way he can display that and some paperwork from his grandpa's truck at the shows. And for now, we're just going to put this Dakota Digital back in there, but none of it's going to work. We're going to work on getting a piece of textured plastic like this made and doing some kind of border on it and having the holes and stuff drilled for his steering column and light switches, turn signals and such, and we're going to build him a panel to hold an Aces and have all that on there. Eddie's supposed to come back out tonight and finish up the exhaust, so hopefully we can get that done. But right now me and him are knocking the rods and pistons in FishStik 6.0 so she can finish getting this thing assembled so we can get this thing put in the car before the week's over. Now we've also got to do an engine bay cleanup, install a BTR Trinity intake, and a set of 727 valve covers on that thing. I guess I need to check the shipping on those and see where they're at, because we still have to send those off and get them engraved as well. So we're on a time crunch this week, guys. I'm not able to film as much as I want, but I'm filming as much as I can. I'm going to try to update y'all throughout the week with small processes and to be able to show y'all our actual progress and what we're getting done. But we got bank 2 already in. We got to put bank 1 in this thing, so we're about to get back to it, get that done so I can get out there and wire up Austin's truck and start wiring up Red's car and get them things ready to go this show. Alright guys, so it's Tuesday afternoon. We got this thing just about ready. Our map harness was not long enough. We are running a Gen 3 style map sensor, and on this Magnuson the map port is over on the driver's side. Turns out that the sensor, the 2.5 bar, 2 bar sensor that we had in here, the part number is not in the Aces EFI, so we've got the Aces one. We're trying to file it down some to get it fit in that hole snug, and I've got an extension harness we'll run over from here. The only other thing that we might run into is this throttle body part number does not match what we have inside the Aces either, but I may have to call Aces and just see how to key in for a Silverblade LS2 throttle body. But we got his gauges put back in. Got his harness buttoned up under the dash, minus his tuning cable and his trans temp. Then we've got his Aces screen right here. Flip this key on, show you guys this thing. So we got power to the Aces. About ready to bang this thing off. Just trying to get this map sensor issue figured out, and then it's hammer time. We did get his exhaust done. We got that done last night. Fuel system's been done, of course. We got all the wiring cleaned up off this fender and passenger fender as well. We ran his catch can and his harness through the fender over there. I'm waiting on some 1/4-inch loom to come in so I can loom a few of these up, and I'm probably going to move this ignition source wire through a different hole so we can try to find a plug or something for that. We did mount his fuse block down here on the inner fender. Clean though. And then he's going to reroute his supercharger coolant hoses to the ice tank in the bed. But we're trying to get this thing fired off one time so we can put the bed back on it and get FishStik in here and get that motor stabbed. We had made some little bit of leadway on Red's car today, but we've been focusing on Austin's. So tonight I'm going to jump back on this thing and try to get some time in on it and get it ready. But the biggest thing is we got to get Austin's truck ready so FishStik can come in here and go on the rack and get that 6-liter put back in it. Alright, so we stayed late last night.
No, you didn't.
We got his ECM mount figured out. We used the combo there.
Hell yeah.
Made a insert to go in between the Dirty Dingo mount and the Amazon LS mount. Just black ABS plastic. And then we mounted the ECM to that. And we're going to use our rubber isolators down there where we actually mount it to the car. And we're going to mount his BP harness and fuse block right here. Run his fans that way. And run our other accessories and freed up fuses through there. Still got to extend his Aces wiring and run it all the way to the back of the car. And then some hose clamps on that power steering line. On this heater hose, get another heater hose. Try to run this nice up and over like that. But it's Wednesday, we got 3 days to finish this one. Button up the last couple things on Austin's truck. Try to get a couple miles on it. And get the 6.0 back in FishStik with BTR intake, a set of valve covers, and a coil relocate. We done did it again. And it's gonna get a BTR Trinity intake that's powder coated black to match. We're gonna dress the engine bay up some, try to get it looking right. But like I said, we got 3 days, jump back on it, try to get these things buttoned up and done. Emma's gonna go ahead and get the coils done for Red's car. I'm gonna start chiseling stuff off the list. Red should be up here shortly. And Sammy's gonna work on buttoning up the last couple things on Austin's truck, like the bed bolts. Gonna get them bed bolts on there. And then he's gonna get FishStik in here. And we're gonna stab the motor in that. He's gonna work on getting all that stuff hooked up while we thrash on Red's car. I'm gonna let this thing warm up for a minute. We're gonna pull it around back, and we're gonna thrash on Red's car and try to get FishStik in here and get the motor stabbed today. Alright guys, so we got a couple little things to do to this one, but for the most part, it's ready for the show. We're going to get his display mounted up right here on the windshield. I've got to tighten the O2 bungs up, adjust the throttle pedal a little bit, clean up a map sensor harness that we had to kind of do what we had to do for right now. We've got some more parts on the way, but I don't know if they're going to be here before the event. But we just pulled this thing out. We're going to go ahead and get FishStik inside, get the 6.0 stab back in it, and start getting the engine bay cleaned up on it. Red's here. He's working on his car some. We've got a pretty long list of parts we still need for it, so getting all that gathered up is really the biggest stress right now. If everything was in the building, I wouldn't be nearly as worried because we could just thrash and thrash and thrash. But right now, we're kind of limited on what we can do, but we're not trying not to let that hold us up, and we're going to keep rocking. But for right now, we're going to park this one outside, wait till tomorrow or Friday, and get it back inside and mess with it a little bit more. I do need to drive it and try to get the tune dialed in the best that I can. And then after the show, we'll get with Ben and have him look at it and see what he can't come up with on a tune, and try to open this thing up with the Aces on it. Then we're also going to come back. We're going to do a gauge panel for the Aces, and he's deleting his decoded digitals and going strictly Aces. So we've got some more stuff to do to it, but right now it was get it running and get it right. We want to get it running so he can drive it to the show Saturday. We've got to get these other two done. So that's why we're not trying to finish it to 100% right at the moment.
Bro, I forgot to tell you this shit.
Alright, so FishStik's back in here. We got to get this thing installed. This engine harness and stuff cleaned up. That 6-liter ready to go in there. And we over here thrashing on this thing. Eddie's up here helping us this afternoon, trying to get this fuel system started up on this thing. Got a couple more things to mount, some wiring to do. We getting close.
Demolition derby time coming up.
We getting real close. That's where you insert pause to read. Alright, so it's late Wednesday night. Sammy and Emma got the motor in, FishStik. I helped them out a little bit. He got the converter bolts in, got the starter in. Stuff underneath's buttoned up for the most part. Still got to get the headers on. Valve covers, intake, all that good stuff. Front accessories, finish them out, get the radiator in it. Then we'll know if we have enough room. Probably set the radiator in it first and see if we have enough room to do our coil relocate down here on the frame rails. That's kind of what I'm going for. But we'll have to see. We've also got to get in here and strip some of this lumen wiring back. Probably do that after we get the headers on and try to adjust this thing out here a little more. Get the intake ready. Emma did go to the coil packs ready for us. Just got these things mounted up. They are on some ICT billet brackets. But we're going to see what we can make happen in there. As for Red's car, we are close. All this will go in the inner fender. We got some stuff to tighten up and zip tie back, but for the most part, all that is done. Got the radiator mounted in there. I've still got to wire up the pigtails for the fans and get the radiator hose situation figured out. Not really feeling this too much. It kinks a little bit right there. I'm going to see what I can do with that. And then we still have to find a lower hose. I did get the trans cooler in there and got the lines hooked up on the transmission. But we're getting close. Still got some wiring to do inside. Waiting on another set of these to come in. We stuck the coil packs down here under the core support. He's got a new plastic valence to go down there, so valance, whatever. Got a little plastic splitter to go down there and help deflect air up. We did get the fuel system done in this thing, other than we need the sending unit hanger to mount the fuel pump in. But we got the lines ran, we got his regulator set up over there, out of the way. It's got a filter down on the rail, on the frame rail. Alright, so I just did the first road test in Austin's truck. It did really well. Probably let it cool off a little bit, run around the block again. Need to check a couple things on it, loom up a couple small wires, and it's ready to go. Our list on Red's car is getting smaller. We diving on that right now, trying to get it buttoned up. He's got the drive shaft in it, got the fuel system done. We got just a couple other little things to do, and then this thing will be ready to fire off. So we're gonna try to get this thing running today and get it ready to go. See what we can make happen. So then after the meeting, we get to come back and try to get some mufflers on this thing.
So we about to start it?
Here in a few minutes, yeah. We're not far off. Y'all put the fuel in it yet?
No.
We'll be back momentarily. We got Austin's truck ready. Had a couple bugs to work out, but we got them fixed. This thing ready to go. Tire roasting maniac right here. The FishStik's coming back later too.
I smell fuel.
Shit. Dang.
Alright guys, it's Friday night late, actually early Saturday morning, I guess you could say. We got this thing running. It's topping off the trans fluid now. We got some mufflers put on it. In the morning we're gonna meet up here super early, button up a couple little things, and he's gonna take this thing to the car wash and get it cleaned up. Cleaned up. Woo! Got them done, y'all. Got them done. Look. Fuck y'all know about that? Look. Motherfucking street truck. Told them motherfuckers leave me alone. Somebody should have told them leave me alone. 8 days.